Thank you very much. The best position is to have the last lecture of a conference because everybody's tired, so I can speak about anything and nobody will remember that. So I hope this is not true. This is beginning of the 20th century picture of one of the towns where I live. It's now situated in Romania. It's an important regional center. It is called in Hungarian Kolozsvár, in German Klausenburg, in Romanian Cluj. And if you see it's somehow a rural setting and some churches in the center, this is, as I said, a beginning of the 20th century image of the city. And if you establish the company here, of course, who establishes a company is in the seek of immortality, at least for the legal person, because the only way in which humanity reached immortality is by creating legal persons which have this idea of perpetuity. So, for example, if you opted to establish a company in this place in the beginning of the 20th century, and this company thrived and evolved, what happened? The company faced really strong shifts of history, breaking lines of history. Why? This period when this picture was taken, this town was part of the Hungarian part of the Austro-Hungarian monarchy. And in 1918 and between 1920, from legal point of view, it became part of Romania. So you have a first change in sovereignty. But in 1940, this northern part of Transylvania, and including this city, went back to Hungary, second change of sovereignty. And in 1944, the Soviet army occupied and handed it back to Romania in several months. So it's a third change of sovereignty. So we have in a relatively short period at least 3 changes in sovereignty. You founded a company in the beginning of the 20th century. In this town, it was in force the Hungarian Commercial Code from 1875. So you started to operate under this legislation. Came the change from public law point of view, the change of sovereignty. What happened? Actually nothing, because the private law regime was kept until the future moment of unification, which was never realized. Actually, Romania had different private law regimes, particular regimes during the interwar period, but in this town, the Hungarian legislation on companies was in force until 1945. In 1945, the old Romanian legislation was put into the force, but in a very short period, because the Romanian Commercial Code, which originated from the Italian one and dates back from 1887, the Italian model dates from 1882. So it was in force just for a few years, actually, because in 1948 it came the nationalization of companies, the abolition of capitalist structures, and creation of the state-owned enterprises. So at least we have one shift in legislation as another breaking point. But the most important breaking point from private law perspective, of course, is the changes in regimes. Because we will see in my real life example that a company founded under the Austro-Hungarian monarchy actually continued to live and flourish in the interwar period Romania as well, without major breaking points. But actually the execution of these legal persons, joint stock companies, came in 1948 when the state said that in the name of the greater Marxist truth, you are nationalized, and this put an end to these companies as were perceived in the context of classical commercial law. So this is in a nutshell, a history of challenges coming from public law or private law regimes of a certain company, and how this manifested in real life. And I took an example of a really interesting company which was founded in 1911 in this city, and actually it is a company of three families. Three families are members of the three families. The founding members are in this picture, and I will explain a little bit of origins of these families. The one family is of German origin. You see in the middle this guy, it's Johann Renner, who came from Germany to Transylvania and went first to a very small town and started there to produce leather, because he learned this how to produce leather in Germany and wanted to start a new business and migrated to Transylvania. Transylvania, in that moment, it was a natural choice for such a business-oriented migration, because there was a huge German minority there. And this Johann Renner went to a German town, Regin in Romanian nowadays, but Sexisregen, it was the name of the town. And as a good economic thinker, he being a leather producer, he married the daughter of a butcher. And this is a way to get cheap leather to be produced, and this was a first step to a huge business success, as we will see. The quality of the leather produced by this guy alone at that moment is that he won in 1904 a golden medal at an industrial competition, and this golden medal was containing a rooster, and this will become the logo of the company, which will be very soon established. And the market in Sexisregen being too small, he moved to Cluj-Kolozsvár, which was at that moment one of the Transylvania's most important cities. As you see in this image, this is not an industrialized town. Actually, there were two factories, one tobacco factory, and another factory was producing matches to light so these were the two factories, and this guy in the middle, the most elder one, rented a small shop to produce leather right near the river to have access to water and so on. It was a rental contract, but in the moment when the creditors of the owner of that building actually initiated enforcement against the owner, and the building was put to be sold, he bought the building. And also in this picture, you can see the resemblance somehow. These two guys are his two sons, the Renner Renner brothers, and some of you knows Professor Vékás. Professor Vékás got a football ball from one of these guys when he was a child in Cluj. So this is also interesting part of this history. And what they brought into the business, the special knowledge about how to produce leather. And this special knowledge met with the two other families' knowledge, business type knowledge. The two other families are represented here by also two brothers. These are the Farkas brothers. It's very important. They are Hungarian Jewish family, and the guy in white coat actually is a law graduate. He was a really good attorney at law, and he had to study actually all the steps required to be a leather producer. So see, he spent several years having a law degree to get the diploma that he can be a shoemaker. Because that was required to enter this business at that moment. The third family is also a Hungarian Jewish family, the Hecht family, and actually they said that in this issue of leather producing, it's much more than a small shop. Let's go on a bigger level. And of course, they started as a limited partnership in 1910, but the next year they transformed they created a company, a joint stock company. So we have three families running this business at the moment of emergence in 1911. And we saw a relatively fast growth of this company, how they managed it. This white coat guy had good relations with everybody and obtained state subsidy for industrial development. And actually, this state subsidy was considered somehow their investment in the company, because probably they got it. So this is important element. This state subsidy let them buy a huge plot of land, and also it included a 10 years tax exemption. 10 years tax exemption. And practically this business started to evolve, and the real period of growth was the period of the First World War, when they produced shoes for the army. So at that moment, from a middle-sized company, they went at their scale relatively big. But as I said, in the historical shifts occurred, and this territory became part of Romania after the First World War. What will happen? Again, this white coat guy was really clever and took into the board of the company two prominent members of the Romanian National Party from Transylvania. Actually, Alexandru Vaida Voievod, who was before Prime Minister of Romania for a certain period, and also Emil Hatzioganu, who was a law professor and attorney at law, a colleague of this guy, Bozes Farkas. So in this way, co-opting leading Romanian politicians into the the board of the company, he intended to make smoother this political change from the point of view of the company. And the company actually continued to grow in this period. Just one figure to show, in the beginning of the 1920s, it had something about 1,200 employees. In 38, it had 3,000 employees. So at that level of industrialization, this was really big. And how the integration was successful, it is shown by that when the tax exemption for 10 years come to an end, they obtained the same tax exemption under the Hungarian Industrial Development Act, still in force, but from the Romanian government applying the same legislation. The change is shown but, by the fact that this state aid was granted for 30 years by the Romanian government. The only problem is that the law allowed for 15 years as maximum period such a tax exemption. So they had so good relation with the government at that moment, so they obtained double period of tax exemption than it was allowed by the law. So this is the context, but I want to concentrate on the relationship between the families, and they actually worked very well together. As the company grew, a lot of new capital infiltration was needed. For example, they bought competitors and so on, and from this perspective, at a certain moment, they became minority shareholders, because there were investors actually from there were from Vienna, for example, several investors, but also from London. There were shareholders in this company in the interwar period. And what we saw, that it was a really interesting legal tool used to govern this joint stock company, so-called syndicate agreement. This is what it is used in Austrian and Hungarian terminology. In English, it's much better to say that the shareholders agreement it was used. And it's really interesting because shareholders agreement in general are secretive documents, and I had the chance to discover in the archives the shareholder agreement governing the relationship between the three families from 1926. And this was a really interesting endeavor. And what we can see that identify from this agreement that there were two other such agreements. There was this group of the founders, one shareholders group cooperating between each other. There was another group of shareholders cooperating in Vienna. And these two groups concluded another shareholder agreement which regulated the cooperation between these two groups. And together they had majority. Together they had the majority in the assembly. Unfortunately, only the shareholder agreement is of the founders is identified. I could not get the other two shareholders agreement. And this document governs how this company was run, and we will see that Moses Farkas, the white coat guy, had a very leading role in this issue. And for example, you see that there are several guys on this picture. Everybody is owner of a certain amount of shares. If they go to the general meeting of the company, they could vote in many ways and in a not concerted way. And that was not okay for them, and also it was not okay for the other shareholder group based in Vienna, because no majority can be reached. So what they did, and this is also embodiment of trust, they actually all gave proxy to Moses Farkas to represent them at the General Assembly. And they had a meeting before any general meeting as a syndicate meeting of them, and they decided what is the position Moses Farkas should take at the General Assembly, and this was mandatory. And all the shares, which were at that moment bearer shares in a printed form, those shares were in deposit at the company. And those shares served as collateral for breaching this shareholders agreement. Everybody put the shares in this deposit, and for example, if Moses Farkas would vote in a different way as decided by this three-family reunion, then he had to pay a fine, and if he would not pay that fine, that penalty, actually the shares can be executed. And that was true for the other members. If one of them shows up at the general meeting and says, I want to vote, immediately a fine, and he loses his shares because they serve as collateral for this penalty, actually. Also, it was a really important thing to keep the shares in the hands of the group, because if somebody else sells the shares and somebody else buys it, then there is a problem of majority, because the two syndicate groups had only together a very fragile majority at the general meeting, so they had to keep all the shares in this family group, and they declared the shares as freely transferable only between the members of the families. So this was the tool used in this sense. Also, very interesting other issues are raised by this document, but my time, I think, ran away, and only I will show some buildings from the interwar period of the company. This is how it looks like in the end of the 1920s, the company, and these are the leaders of the Romanian National Party co-opted in the board of the company, and this is the house of Moses Farkas in a current state. Now it's actually the seat of a bank. It's private banking services are run from there. So you can see from this villa that this was a real economic strength, at least at the level of this region. A very interesting similar story is in Czechia, the Bata company. The Bata company, through several mutations, still exists. this company, which we were talking about, was nationalized. The last members of the family who were in the board had a tragic phase. Just one example, as a closing, the daughter of the brother of Mózes Farkas was in the board at the moment of the nationalization, Magda Farkas, and his husband was a communist politician, actually. He had a leading role in the Ministry of the Finance, and but during the persecutions against some communist officials, he was imprisoned, kept in solitary confinement for 12 years, and the daughter of Jenő Farkas actually was interrogated by the secret police in a very harsh manner, and actually she lost her minds, and later during different relatives lived her last years in Israel. So this is a very short overview of the history of this company from 1911 to 1948. Of course, through nationalization, these families lost everything. Thank you very much.